Welcome back to another episode right here on the Kickabout podcast. The European group stage fixtures are over for the Champions League, and it's been a few exciting match weeks. It's 6 match weeks in total. A few big disappointments, which we'll cover. A lot of exciting fixtures, and we're right here to review it with you guys. As promised, we'll review the final game week, and here we are. How are you doing, boys? Uh, Seeing you
No,
after like 3 days, I think. Long
not
time.
not very well.
I can't be too bummed out at the result, but that night of football was pretty insane.
I was in for a good night of
It
football.
was a good night of football.
Oh,
Let's just say
Sean.
that
Love
that
football.
was quite a wild ride. That was we had one match being forfeited, then bad refereeing at Juventus Barca. Then what was the other match? And then United getting spanked by RB Leipzig. It was
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, a bunch
It
of
was
good
fun.
shit that happened. So I think we should do this group wise. So I think there's 8 groups in total. We'll review each group, talk about Champions League qualification to the round of 16, Europa League, and who crashed and burned. Okay, boys. So let's start. There's Group A for Apple, and when these groups were announced, I think there were no doubts who would qualify. But Atletico Madrid did leave it till the last day. So the group stands Bayern first, Atletico second, RB Salzburg third, and Lokomotiv Moscow four.
Yeah,
Dave, any surprises there?
No surprises. It was pretty obvious that Bayern and Atletico would qualify. So, I mean, Salzburg
yeah,
had a chance on the last day if they defeated Atletico, I think.
Yeah, they did.
yeah, but I don't think that would happen.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
Atletico would have just gone through.
I think
Brazil.
so. Salzburg finished with the Europa League spot. So a Europa League spot is when you finish third, and then there's 8 teams who go from the Champions League to the Europa League. For the viewers who didn't know, so Salzburg are at 4 points right now, and Madrid are at 9 points. So if they wouldn't have won this game, they'd have been at six, and Salzburg would have been at four. So they did have a chance, to be honest. I mean, uh, tough luck. They did lose Erling Haaland recently. More importantly, Minamino.
He's done nothing for Liverpool.
He did score a goal, but it was like offside. We'll get into it in a while. Uh, good shit though. So Bayern are top of this group, and they'll probably face some team which has come second. So we'll discuss these options at the very end. The next group was Group B, and I think this is of particular interest to Tejas because he anxiously waited for Real Madrid to crash out, but they didn't. uh,
I think we all did. I think we all wanted them to crash out.
they finished top of the group, Tejas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, the
I
only
really
reason I
don't.
wanted them to crash it is because United did. So, like someone in the same boat, but
Oh, wait,
Uh,
you want United to face them in the Europa League? You want to crash out of that league as well?
man, we're crashing out anyways. Why not by Madrid? Like a
Why?
big
No,
game.
Europa League. Europa League, you guys stand a chance, man.
I don't think so.
Nah, man. Spurs are going to bottle Europa League. You guys have a very good chance. And Sevilla is not there now. So the league is open to anyone.
to be honest, so this group was pretty interesting as well. So Real Madrid and in this group is probably the biggest disappointment of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Antonio Conte, after spending a shit ton of money to bring in some fuck all players, Ashraf Hakimi, Arturo Vidal, and playing two strikers up front, failed to score one goal at home against some fucking bullshit team. Though that Shakhtar Donetsk, we've been facing them for 4 years. But they just a big disappointment for Inter.
It's Inter. Europa League finalists not qualifying for either Champions League or Europa League, man. What bullshit. No,
you're
what
Inter
has
Milan.
happened
You're
there?
supposed to be qualifying. You have two
You're
strikers
supposed
up front.
it's one of those situations where
Apparently,
like yeah, de facto you're going to qualify. Like either if Barca, Madrid, City, United play Champions League, it's like a de facto rule they should just qualify. Not United this time, but still. it's like, okay, you're just going to qualify. Like, what the fuck? I mean, this
Do you
game is
fancy
full of
them to
surprises.
cut their losses in Europe and focus on the league? And they could they probably
That
win?
is one positive I can
That
take.
league has only one winner for the past 9 years. You
How are they doing
don't
at the
talk about
moment?
such bullshit leagues. There's only one good league in this world.
No, how are Inter doing in the league?
Liga Nos. How are Inter doing? We'll find that out just now. But they're not doing too bad. They finished second last year.
Because
The
currently,
only one,
I think
only
currently
one
AC Milan is kind of dominating.
AC Milan. So with 10 games played, 26 points. That's 5 clear of Inter Milan, who also played 10 and are at 21 points.
So it is possible for them. Yeah.
It is
I mean,
possible.
it's good. Less fixtures mean it's easier for Conte to use his players also. So.
And he has a good squad. It's not like he has a bad squad.
And this probably is like Conte when he was at Chelsea, where he could just solely focus on the Premier League that season, and they ended up winning that league.
It's a bloody good point. I mean, I have a feeling Antonio Conte's adventures in Europe never come to fruition. Even when he was at Chelsea, Barcelona came and spanked him 2 times. He went out of that competition. Even with Inter this year, I mean, 4th position is inexcusable, especially when you're facing fucking Shakhtar Donetsk. And the other team from this group which is qualified is Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's a long ass fucking name, but
they had good run of form in the beginning. I expected them to top the table, but might end up topping it.
I mean, they spanked Shakhtar Donetsk 6-0 at home, 3-0 away, and that is why they're ahead of Shakhtar. Even though, I mean, they have there's a 14 goal difference between Shakhtar's goal difference and Mönchengladbach's goal difference.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. It's pretty crazy.
But Mönchengladbach are in for some tough fixtures because they finished second. I mean, I keep going back to what Andre Villas-Boas said, and we'll cover that in a moment because that's the next group. He said that in order to be shit in the Champions League, you have to qualify for the Champions League. We have qualified, and now we can be shit. I think that was it.
Man City always find easy groups somehow in this league. Qualification has never been a problem because you always face Shakhtar and some shit teams from France.
Shit. I mean, they do knock us out of Europe also, dude, occasionally. But Group C, madness. Half these teams I'd never heard of before this group was announced. I mean, this group has a mad disparity if you look at it. So there's Man City at 16, which is a club record high. There's Porto at 13, and then there's Olympiacos and Marseille at 3 each.
What?
Yeah, it's so pathetic, you know. I don't know how much the City pay UEFA once for lifting up that ban, once for these easy group stages. It's absolute bullshit.
Enough.
Saltiness is shining through, dude. No, but I mean, I do agree to that point. But as I've told you before, man, the world doesn't give 2 shits when you play Olympiacos in Greece. They genuinely don't. The world gives a shit when you play Real Madrid in under 16.
Ishan, even 10 Sports didn't give a shit about your match. They relegated you to the lower channels, man, half the time. Nobody watched.
Actually, no. That game was on 10-2 HD. The other one.
Yesterday, what games were there except maybe Inter and
Real.
Shakhtar and Real and Mönchengladbach, those 2 key marquee fixtures. That's it.
I mean, all Inter and Shakhtar had to do was just win a game, and they messed up.
Dude, Inter, they could have won, man. That Lukaku, man, how so close.
Goal line clearance. He did a team of 1.
Oh God!
I've never seen a player who is who's always in the wrong position at the wrong time. Like, it's just his thing. You think back to that final against Sevilla, Man scores an own goal. How the fuck does he think it's a good idea to stand in an offside position there, man? Dude,
I think he probably striker's instinct. He's just like waiting for a loop because a lot of loose balls do fall into that area. But I think
but
he
he's
just gets caught off
offside
guard.
position. Even if they fall, the fuck is he gonna do?
I don't. I think because in those sort of set pieces, usually opposition players keep a defender on the line, so you could afford to stand in such positions and still remain onside. But
I was
this
just
wasn't taking
awful
care.
positioning from him.
Yeah.
Oh,
At
did
that
you
situation,
see
yeah.
Aguero's goal last night when he came on?
I think I was watching the Madrid match at that point, but you mentioned something about
What was
him
his
putting
goal?
on weight.
If you watch Aguero's goal, that kind of describes what you're saying. Like if the keeper spills the ball or something along those lines. But the point is that man goes from an onside position to an offside position. He doesn't fix his feet into the fucking
He's
ground
just
and warm.
standing there in front of the keeper. So even if the ball goes in the net, they'll disallow the goal for obstruction.
Very good point. I feel.
But
How much did United get for Lukaku?
that's how much you paid for him? 75, right?
Yeah, they paid 75. How much did you get for that guy?
I think same amount, I think. Not sure.
Inter paid 75.
Let
I
me
don't
check.
think so. I highly doubt that. His value must have depleted at United.
Oh, they did
80
pay fucking
million.
80 million euros, man. What the
80!
fuck?
Wow, you made a 5 million profit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
that's a maddening stat because he has cost them one Europa League title and a spot in the Champions League knockout stages now.
Yeah.
That's 40 million for each mistake.
Quite sad to see.
One team. Oh no. So I think we covered Group C just now with Man City topping the group and Porto. I mean, to be honest, he rested so many players that I feel like they'll come back without any match preparation for the United derby. I mean, I would have much rather seen Kevin De Bruyne play, Raheem Sterling play the full 90 minutes, but Pep
He
had to
played.
do.
He scored that stupid goal.
I mean, Raheem Sterling, dude, he doesn't score good goals.
He scores goals. It's more important.
I mean, if it was somewhat like that was that Leon game. If he would have skied that shit too, man, like people wouldn't be surprised.
It was close, huh? He just hit it straight up.
I don't know. I think his shooting
good.
technique needs work, man. It's just bad. That's it.
Bro, he's 26 years old. He just turned 20.
Work.
No, but there's one point that I wanted to bring up, which is we could maybe use it for the IGTV also. I know what you guys think about it, but when English players make errors, you get like attention to them for probably a day or two, and then it fades away like completely. So I'm thinking back to that Leon miss. He missed. Do people ever bring that up now? They don't. If a foreign player would have done something like that, they'd always bring it up. Like David De Gea, for instance, at United. He was maybe at fault for the third goal, which we'll speak about in just a while. But people keep slating him. There's reports saying United players want Dean Henderson goal instead of David De Gea. And to think back to the fact that Harry Maguire made more errors in that game, but people they aren't on his case like after a day. And I feel like that's just the privilege of being English. Like Dan James is probably a very big flop. People don't speak about him because he's from the
Dan
UK.
James as well. He's okay. You mean like that? Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys think about it.
But then the thing is, the player has to be relevant to talk about them. Dan James is not relevant enough to even be mentioned by United after them.
See, Dan James doesn't play enough games to be mentioned. And
the
fact that Sterling doesn't get any stick and De Gea does is because De Gea is from Manchester United. We get trolled a lot. It's just as simple as that.
How about Harry Maguire then? Because he was at fault for a lot of goals, man, but you don't see much, say, even on
Everyone
social
tells
media.
him he's a personal fridge.
I mean, he's your club captain, man, first of all. And people don't turn
he's
him
done.
like that.
He's cost us a spot in the round of 16 also.
I mean, we'll get to that group in a while, but I just feel like there's a lot of advantages of being English and playing the EPL.
Yeah, because it's the high standard league.
Another instance is Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood. Phil Foden didn't get nothing while he has a wife, he has a partner and a kid. Well, Mason Greenwood got so much attention from the media because he's from Manchester United.
I mean, I think they did get equal amounts of attention.
No, no, there, yeah, they
Greenwood
were
did
both.
get back.
They were both trolled equally.
But
think
Greenwood had
Greenwood
like personal reasons. He had personal reasons to stay away from the game. So Foden was, you could see him back on the grass. Greenwood was missing for another 2 months.
I don't know.
All right. We'll move on to the Dirty D. Okay, that probably came off wrong. I mean, we go out in the Group D. All right. This was a pretty interesting group up till match week 5. I mean, yeah, match week 5 pretty much killed it because Liverpool lost at Anfield to Atlanta match week 4. And then Ajax needed to win at Anfield in order to keep their hopes alive for the final day. So on the final day, Atlanta played Ajax, and Atlanta needed a point to go through. Ajax needed all 3 points to go through. In the end, Atlanta took all 3 points with them in the 86th minute.
Yeah, kind of wanted Ajax to go through, but it's Liverpool and Atlanta and Ajax in the Europa.
I don't know.
Honestly, Ajax have a better chance at a Europa than UCL. I don't see them getting any.
I mean, I don't see them winning any competition, but I wanted Atlanta over Ajax because that Ajax forwards will be a fucking disgrace to the knockout stages. They missed it for a living.
Yeah. They could have put in a few chances against Liverpool, but they missed everything.
Oh yeah, I saw that game.
Yesterday, Liverpool scored in the first minute against Midtjylland. And
they penalty in the 60th.
They got a penalty then.
There was almost lost that.
I don't know what was I didn't see the game. I heard there was some VAR issue with Liverpool and they drew because of that.
So there were many issues. One was Sadio Mane. So basically, Sadio Mane, this is in the 96th minute or something. Sadio Mane heads the ball down for Minamino to shoot. He scores. Assistant ref says it's offside. They review VAR. They say that there is no offside. So they're about to give the goal, but then they rule it out for handball.
What?
Yeah. So basically, when Mane heads the ball down, it like brushes past his fingers.
Oh, what fucking bullshit, man!
There's a bunch of shithousery in that game, but
dude, this VAR is a scam.
No, but I was just thinking back to if VAR wasn't there. It was handball. There's enough hand in it to be called handball. But if VAR wasn't there, you'd never get to know of such shit, like at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this VAR is there at the cost of making the game less fun, because it's just like all these things get ruined by some shitty guy at a computer screen, man. So annoying.
It is less fun when it isn't your team on the line.
I mean, I have more to say about VAR when it comes to Barca Juventus, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a necessary evil. Let's just put it as that. It's you need it, but you don't like it. This is how it is.
Probably. So Liverpool topped the group with Atlanta in second place. Tejas, how do you feel about facing Liverpool at Anfield if you draw them again?
Mate, at this rate, I wish we qualified for Europa, man. Oh God, man! I don't know. Our team is just in shambles at the moment. Obviously, I'm praying we get a team like maybe Dortmund, or who else can we get?
Dortmund with Haaland will annihilate your defense.
But at the same time, Dortmund's defense isn't that great either.
So you're going to hope that your attackers.
Mate, if you saw the Juventus game, we had one player who pretty much created every single thing. We had that useless Trincao.
Bro, I thought that guy created all the chances.
No, Trincao was Messi. 7 shots on targets, all 7 from him. And all 7 saved by Buffon.
That's a mad stat.
That's crazy. I don't know how we didn't get one goal.
Let's move on to Group E with Chelsea and Sevilla qualifying.
I'm looking at the table right now, to be honest, and this looks like the second biggest piece of mad chess moves that a player has made after Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain made the switch from London to Liverpool. Edouard Mendy went from Rennes to Chelsea. Rennes finished the group with 1 point. Chelsea are with 14 points. That's a mad stat.
I mean,
But then,
it was
didn't
obvious
Kepa
that Chelsea and Sevilla would qualify in this group, but I didn't
Didn't
think
Kepa
Rennes would
s-
be last and Krasnodar third.
Didn't Kepa start the last game for Chelsea?
Yeah,
Did
the
he
last game they played Krasnodar and they played their complete B team. Like the early starter was Kai Havertz in that team.
They came with about 1-0 draw, right?
Yeah, 1-1 draw.
I mean, the group kind of branched away more than I expected it to. So when Chelsea drew in London to Sevilla, which was 0-0, I thought it's going to be way too close to call the leader of the group at least. But then Olivier Giroud
Spanked them.
spanked them
Smashed 4 past them.
4 past Koundé and Diego Carlos. That is saying something.
both of whom we could have bought this summer for 75 million. I just want to say we did.
I honestly wish we bought one of them. Now we are linked to Eric Garcia, man. And after seeing him against that Marseille game, like, please don't come to my
You
club.
couldn't see him only, man. He barely
Exactly. Man, didn't he just recover from injury and now again he got injured again? That's the most Barca thing that can happen, man.
No, but he's gone in January.
Annoying.
He's gone in January. I genuinely feel that they'll
I
buy
know,
him.
most probably he is coming.
Yeah, I think they agreed on personal terms as well. I saw
He's
Fabrizio
highly
report that.
linked to the club. Yeah,
I think
he's
if
most
Barca
probably
play
coming.
22 million, he's gone.
I mean, he may do well at Barca, we see, because I don't know.
I mean, I did
Time
tell
will
you
tell.
he grew taller. He grew taller by 2.5 inches for real.
Man, taller and his ability is more important than his height.
Ball playing defender, Barca fans call it.
I don't give a
He's
shit.
not
about
a
his height.
defender, man. He's ball playing player.
It's an interesting time for Barca fans. We'll see.
So Chelsea topped the group, another opponent who Barcelona could face. Meanwhile, Sevilla, dude, even after being spanked, I mean, this has to do with the Krasnodar, what do you say, the draw with Chelsea. But Sevilla just finished 1 point behind, but their goal difference is 1 compared to Chelsea's 12.
What?
It's a massive.
Man, what is this?
And
I mean-
Krasnodar, I don't know where this team is from. Do any of you have any idea?
I have no clue. Probably Greece.
Krasnodar.
Krasnodar or
I-
from
I'm not
Russia.
going to.
Russia.
I'm not going to make an
The-
assumption
they're
based on
going
how
to
they
play,
sound.
Europa League.
Mate, Sevilla are probably shitting themselves. They have the toughest people. They are facing some mad people next round. So
Of the possible opponents, these are the only ones Sevilla could face. They cannot face Real Madrid. They can face Bayern, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Dortmund, UA, PSG. But they can't face Real Madrid.
that's crazy. Oh wait, you and me can't face me.
Even you can't face Real Madrid.
I want to see
Can't face
Chelsea
Real
versus
Madrid
Barca.
and
to be honest.
Atletico is.
Barca.
We will never face Atletico anyway.
I mean, that would be a good game, especially
Yeah.
with Timo Werner and Clement Longley on the same pitch.
One can't attack, one can't defend.
No. One can do goal line clearances, one cannot. I'll leave the viewers to decide which one can't.
Man's on fire today. So up till now, I think let's just recall all the teams which are going to be playing Europa League. Because
United.
we haven't reached down there yet. So there's RB Salzburg, there's Shakhtar Donetsk, Olympiacos, Ajax, Krasnodar,
Krasnodar.
and this is the next group now, which is Group.
Dynamo Kiev also.
I didn't see a single game of that group F. I only
saw
saw a
40
few of Haaland's goals, but I didn't see a single game.
Yeah, no.
I mean, this was very close up. So the points read 13 for Dortmund, 10 for Lazio, and 8 for Club Brugge. But Dortmund were trailing to Zenit, who were at 1 point and have crashed out of Europe at halftime, 1-0. They came back to win 2-1 without Haaland, and that gets them qualification in the top spot. Meanwhile, Lazio are still recovering from that David Silva snub, but I still managed to finish 10 points. I mean, I've never seen Club Brugge play, to be honest. They're from Belgium, right?
They played
Yeah.
United last season, I think.
Last season, where? Oh, in the Europa League.
Yeah. Might face them again this season.
They did qualify. It's damn funny. But I mean, I did expect this result. Dortmund at 13 points though, and my only worry with Dortmund is that if Haaland is injured, they don't have another striker.
Yeah, I think they play. Who did they play at strike? The Thorgan Hazard sometimes plays strike.
They play Thorgan Hazard. They brought on that Yusufa.
Oh yeah, Yusufa Mosoko.
Musoko. Yeah, that guy's got some Lion King.
16 years old.
Yeah.
16 years old. It's a 20 days. I mean, you can't really. Dude, imagine if you were in 10th grade and somebody came and asked you, could you carry a team Champions League hope?
I can't believe that shit, man. What am I doing with my life?
I mean, his body would still be developing, man, to put so much pressure on a 16-year-old. So I feel like it's Haaland or go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dortmund might be a bit. No, but they did win a game without him, right?
They did, but it wasn't completely deserved, if you ask me. I did watch the second half when they made the comeback.
Maybe trying to say they're too dependent on him. But Ishan, you are the only one who was. I mean, now you have watched a considerable amount of the game. So, do you feel they play with tactics, or is it just another case of pass it to Haaland, he will do the business? Like, what is it?
No, they do play with considerable tactics, and a lot of it has to do with the sort of players they have. So they play a midfield two of Witsel and Jude Bellingham, and of late they've been trying to play more narrow, at least from what I saw, because of which Jadon Sancho drops to the bench, at least until they need him for a goal, and Gio Reyna plays right behind Erling Haaland. And I feel like that has honestly worked more wonders this season than the Sancho Haaland duo did last year. Because first of all, Gio Reyna plays in behind. And I feel like if both of them are fit, I'd give them a chance against anybody, even Bayern Munich. And they did almost win also against Bayern. They just lost 3-2.
Yeah.
But they can't play Bayern now.
Yeah, they can't now. But I mean, both of them
Can't
did
play
finish
Bayern.
top.
They can't. No, RB Leipzig finished second.
So I'll tell you Dortmund's possible opponents. You tell me who do you think would be the best fit for them? They can play Atletico Madrid. They cannot play Borussia Mönchengladbach. They can play Porto, Atlanta,
Barca.
Sevilla, Lazio. Lazio they cannot play. Barcelona and RB Leipzig.
Wait. Why can't they play Lazio? Lazio's Italian.
No. They can play Lazio. They cannot play RB Leipzig and Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Oh yeah, Lazio's in their group, so they can't play them.
Right.
I think Barca might be the best one for them.
And it looks like probable also.
Barca. I think Porto would be good for Dortmund to qualify.
Yeah, for them to qualify. No, they can easily whack Porto. I'm talking in terms of an even match, like a more entertaining match. It would definitely be Barca.
The thing with Porto is, if Dortmund play Porto, I can guarantee that game will go to penalties.
No, okay, yeah, but why I'm saying play Barca is because number one, Dortmund is a club where you can look at people and sign. So in the most likely case they do beat us, we are probably going to target one of their players in the coming markets, which would be beneficial for us.
You need to have the money to target players.
We will get money. We will get money.
I mean, I've never seen a fan who wants to lose to some mid-table German team.
Dude, fam, I am. Dave likes to call us delusional. I'm just trying to be realistic at this point because every time I've had high expectations for my club, we have just shattered them completely. So
you have high expectations for your club. I have high expectations for my captain.
My captain, I can always have high expectations.
We'll get that in a moment, but at this moment in time, I just googled La Liga table, and it showed me 5
Yes,
teams,
sir.
and I cannot see Barcelona there.
Barca, we're 7. We're 7.
But I mean, is there a good chance? Just let me ask you this now, because we're doing a European edition after so long. Is there a good chance Barcelona cannot qualify for
Nah,
next season's Champions League?
we'll pull through. We'll definitely pull through.
Look, he's got faith in his captain too. There.
No. I don't. Maybe not first, but second or third. Yeah, we will come.
All right,
Hell,
all right.
hell, even if we qualify for Europa, I wouldn't mind it either, man. It's fine. I wouldn't mind that.
Fuck's
Because
sake.
we currently are in a rebuilding phase, and so we have to take baby steps.
Baby steps.
If one of those baby steps is winning Europa League, I don't mind it at all.
The only consistent step I can say you've taken is getting that wage reduction bill passed. But
honestly, it's a fucking achievement given our club's wages. My God, what are those wages?
Griezmann earns 550k a week.
550k, man! What nonsense!
For him to just put in those shit shots.
Dude, Griezmann was bad. I think that's a good way to move on to the next group, which is Group G. Please don't unfriend me now. Juventus sailing through with the tie with Barcelona on points, though, to be fair to Barcelona also. So that's 15 each.
We lost only one game.
In the biggest case of shithousery I've seen in my life, Dinamo Kiev were going to play Europa League with 4 points.
Dude, that Fernie Soares just got whacked by all of us, man. Our C team destroyed them.
They're on 1 point, dude.
It's. I think there's way too much disparity in this Champions League.
I mean, that's how the groups are built. But boys and girls, I mean, to accommodate all other genders, one and all. Ronaldo back at the Camp Nou.
He scored 2 penalties.
Taken his phone back after penalty merchant, and the world couldn't be happier. Tejas, how are you feeling this morning?
Man, I think you all saw that first penalty they got. Like, what was that? My man ran into my defender and falls, and the ref gives penalty. They don't even go to touchline. They don't even go to. Did they go to VAR for that? Yeah, they didn't even go. They did. Okay,
they went.
VAR is a scam then.
Keeman also said. Keeman told the referee, "You have some good friends in Italy."
Even the second pen was. The second goal was really good. I would give them that.
Yeah, McKennie had wonderful shot.
That was a well.
That was
goal,
beautiful.
The second pen was also some utter bollocks. And then we had a goal disallowed. We had a penalty disallowed. I
No,
don't know.
that was a mad goal, though, to be honest. I think when he'd be probably like 60 or 80, man's gonna hang it up his bed.
Though that second goal was so well.
That was a picture perfect, dude.
They capitalized our terrible defense. They just exploited it completely. Man, I think I have to honestly I have to change my word. Like, I was this whole time thinking, oh, Longley is some great defender and something. But then fellow friend of mine, they kept saying he's utter dog shit. And now I fully see it. That guy is just bad. Like, he needs PK or someone to be by his side. He's basically Varane for Madrid, just even worse. This is it. You need that Sergio Ramos figure by your side.
Longley was a good defender.
No, genuinely, because everywhere you look, like, Barca are impressed by Longley and his consistent. Okay, we have good defender in hands, and then 2 games in a row, I see him do some utter nonsense at that back position. I'm like, oh boy.
So I did think he was nonsense, but then again, he scored against Napoli. I mean, he pushed that Koulibaly down, and I was like, this guy might be a mint. But
no, he needs a strong partner.
Sean still dreams about Koulibaly.
There is.
My
why are you also hyped for a 30-year-old defender, man? He's going to play 2 seasons at your club and leave. Why do you all want him?
If you would have seen us with Fernandinho and Eric Garcia last season, then even Dave as a centre back would have lit up a little.
But Ishan, you started a trend, man, of playing CDMs at centre backs. Now every club is doing that now. Play De Jong at centre back. Liverpool play Fabinho at centre back.
And I feel like if you do that, then you're gonna get clapped in the season.
I mean, it's honestly De Jong
Fabinho is
and
working
Fabinho
out
at centre. De Jong and Fabinho at centre backs are not bad. Actually, they play pretty well.
No, but they, I mean, I think I've said this before on the podcast. It's not exactly what happens by them moving to centre back. It's what happens by them moving out of the middle of the park.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Yes.
No, but Tejas, you're not going to get away with this. We got some more serious questions to ask you. The Barcelona Twitter admin said,
I saw that.
You enjoyed, we got the goat to your ground. Juventus admin said, just wait, we'll get the real goat to your ground. And to be fair to them, they did get the penalty merchant, and he did shine at Camp Nou again. So I want to ask you, 3-0 on your own home patch. That is some Man United.
It's our first defeat at home Champions League since 2013. Since 2013, our first home defeat. Usually, any Barca fan you mention home game Champions League, it's like, it's in the bag.
I think
but then I told you guys, like, I'm expecting an 8-2 situation to happen again. Luckily, it was only 3-0. But they honestly, Juventus, man. See, Ronaldo had a decent game, 2 penalties. Didn't create as many chances as people expected. But Ronaldo was defending a lot, and he ended up getting megged by Messi, which was which is good for me to see. Buffon was on some drugs, man. That guy didn't let anything go past him.
41. Like, how?
He didn't let anything go past him.
He's older than his manager.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
They played together also.
How is he still pulling out the saves? I don't understand.
No, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. Buffon is not 41 years old. He is 42 years old.
What the hell?
Man, that guy is mad respect. I give him full respect. I think the Champions League glory has eluded him so much. I think it might be time he gets it. Because I don't think he's going to retire until he touches that trophy once in his life.
Bro, touches and shit, he can go to Messi's house or he can just go to Ronaldo's house. So Juventus qualify first because of a better head-to-head record against Barcelona. And Juventus could honestly play a lot of clubs. So they could play Leipzig, they could play Sevilla, they could play Porto, they could play Mönchengladbach and Atletico.
It's an easy qualifier for
them. I think
maybe Atletico might be the biggest challenge.
I think even if they play Atletico, I think Juventus will go through.
I'm not saying they will lose. It'll just be a tougher time for them compared to the other clubs. Because Atletico's team, Juventus have proven they have the tactics to beat down very defensive-minded teams. So,
but like who? Like who exactly?
Fam, they play in the Italian league, man. Have you seen the defense in those? Have you seen the defense there? It's not to sound like stereotypical, but that league is built on defensive play. That's how it is.
I get that, but so the only reason I would fancy Juventus going through against Atletico Madrid is because of Alvaro Morata. That's probably it. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like that guy knows the club in and out, and that guy is in good form too. So I think that guy would probably be the difference maker there.
Yeah. But then there's also Atletico have Oblak, who is he's a spider in goal. That guy is pretty ridiculous in goal. But then Atletico, even their attack, now the attack is currently shining, bro. They have Felix is currently in top form at the moment. Suarez is also playing pretty well. They have Yannick Carrasco, who is an excellent winger. Their midfield is all right. A diver, whatever. Their midfield is also decent, and they have a solid defense. So they're pretty well balanced.
it was damn cringe when there's those 2 dives against Barcelona.
King of the match.
King of the
Off the back. I was like, bro, who the fuck comes up with this shit, man? You go to bed knowing you've come up with this shit. King of the match. But,
that game was some BS, dude. Oh,
so good group overall. I mean, won it by a country mile, but the next one was a much closer affair. One which
group of death.
this was a real death. I mean, to be honest, I did expect Istanbul Berkshire Hathaway to qualify, but what was I thinking? This group, I'll just read out the standings and then we can start deductions. Uh, PSG, after almost sacking their manager 3 game weeks in, have finished the group on top with 12 points. Tie on points, that's the level with RB Leipzig, who are also at 12, but PSG are ahead on a head-to-head basis. And then Manchester United, like Fabrizio Romano says, are on 9 points. And Istanbul Berkshire Hathaway ended with the solitary win and 3 points that they got against Manchester United.
If anyone told me after the first 2 game weeks, after we beat PSG 2-1 in Leipzig final, that United are going to the Europa League, I would have told them to shut up. Because that's not going to happen. And look at what has happened.
You were facing Istanbul 2 games in a row after that.
I'm telling you, that loss to Istanbul has proven very costly.
The loss is only because of Harry Maguire. That Istanbul game, he messed up in defense. The Leipzig game also, he's messed up. The third goal we shouldn't have conceded. And Martial's ice cold finishing also.
But you guys almost made the comeback against Leipzig.
Man, the thing is, this is a problem, you know. Southampton, West Ham, Leipzig. Ole's tactics are only working in the second half because he doesn't know what to do when the game starts. This is most terrifying. You know, if Leipzig defeated us 3-0, it would be like, yeah, they played us out of the park. We couldn't do anything. But after the substitutions at halftime, almost becoming 3-all, that's when it becomes terrifying because Ole could have won us the game from the beginning. But he chose to play fucking 5 at the back.
Yeah, that was very confusing. I don't understand what was the point of 5 at the back.
If you're playing 5 at the back, play a good defender like Tuanzebe.
Mate, you played 5 at the back and you left more gaps than anything I've seen in my life.
The positioning was so shit for my defense that Angelino, they passed us out of the park, like completely passed us.
No, RB Leipzig were prime Barcelona. Those passes were ridiculous. Like one-touch passing everywhere, goal finished. And United players would just watch them.
To be fair, I think you need to compare Ole and the tactics with the same parameters. So if you're talking about 5 at the back, and the only differential I could give you here is Tuanzebe, because 5 at the back in Paris got them a 2-1 win. Playing Diamond against Leipzig at home got them a 5-0 win. Playing some 1-1-9 formation against Istanbul got them completely battered. Playing some similar diamond against, or was it a diamond against Istanbul at home, or was it just 4-3?
5-3-2 is not a diamond.
No. Against Istanbul, I think it was 4 at the back.
So it was 4-2-3-1, and they did defeat them 4-1. Now, my question is, if you think back to that Paris game, when they hosted Paris at Old Trafford, that game was all about missed chances, and that's one place where maybe Tejas' theory about Lyon syndrome, I think that's the only place where I could give it any merit, that if Martial takes that chance, the game is level, then it's 1 apiece. Say, from then it could be a very different game. If Cavani's ball doesn't hit the bar, it goes in. It could be 1-1, 2-1. Shit could be very different. But
it's levels, man. There's a thing. When your team scores a goal, it's a huge boost to your team in terms of more, especially at key fixtures like this. Mm-hmm. It psychologically impacts your team. Like if you go on the attack early, finish those chances, and your team is spurred with so much confidence. It's like take an example how we play. If we 3 on one team and we do slick passes and we score immediately, it's a boost. Like you feel that surge in of energy in yourself and you want to go and do more. And in the end, you end up doing more. You create more chances. You score more goals. This is how it is.
No, I hear you on that, but let's just take a very myopic view about that Leipzig game in Germany. United had a 2 out of 3 probability of going through. They could have either drawn or won.
One, yeah.
Leipzig needed to win the game. I think that early goal did not help. I mean, God bless that Angelino. But
yeah, that definitely.
Angelino, dude, if you watched Angelino play that game, that is exactly what I meant. The first ever UCL game week review when we did it, I said this is the left back who doesn't defend. And his job wasn't to defend. His job was to fucking score an assist.
did
And
that.
Mate, there's no point defending against a team with 5 people at the back, man. They're not going to attack. 5 people at the back. Attacking is going to be sparse from their team. So you might as well push up front.
I mean, because they only had one way of qualifying, which was to win. So they weren't in 2 minds. I think the 2 minds got United a spot in the knockout stages because they did not play 5 at the back against Leipzig at home, but they played this time. And you got to give Leipzig enough credit. They did not play an out-and-out striker. They played some fucking false 9 shit, which actually worked. If you think back to the 5 at the back they played in Paris, PSG had out-and-out forwards, and it was easy for like Tuanzebe to pocket them because you could always see them. But Leipzig, that false 9 shit worked wonders, man.
That was really brilliant from Nagelsmann. But Ole doesn't have the tactical ability to.
No, I mean, he doesn't, because he did get results against PSG and Leipzig. Big results also. But I feel like a lot of this, so I know how tactics can impact. Even we went out to Lyon playing this 5 at the back bullshit. But I feel like that defending is fuck all. That is some bullshit.
It was a poor organization, really poor organization. I could see the space from my TV. I was screaming, please do something, fill that gap. But it was horrible.
Now, whom do you put that down to, though?
For the first goal, Wan-Bissaka. For the second goal, also Wan-Bissaka. And for the third goal, Maguire. Bissaka just left so much space for Angelino to get the ball. Because, see, they're doing one-touch passing. You're supposed to put high pressure on them so that they dwell on the ball more. Don't give them space. And what they do is they give them so much space. They do one-touch passing. There's no press. And that Bissaka has some affinity to Lindelof. He's going all the way to the left and leaving so much space for Angelino. And Angelino can score or whip in balls. They exploited that left-hand side.
Do you think that Ole has told him that? Or because if it happens so many times, then I wonder if he wouldn't have learned from his mistakes. Do you think Ole is telling him to tuck in closer to a centre-back?
That team doesn't learn from their mistakes. That's the biggest problem. I don't know what Ole has told him because he did the same thing twice.
No, I think, we'll stay on United for a bit and then we'll cover PSG also. But I want to know from Tejas, is there a tactics issue or is there a mentality issue here? Because I think back to Chelsea FA Cup semi-final. I think back to Sevilla Europa League semi-final. Which was the other semi-final? Carabao Cup, wasn't it?
Carabao.
Yeah.
Carabao Cup semi-final. I think that was against us only. Yeah. And now this game. So, do you think at these crunch moments, is it a question of overthinking? Is it a question of tactics? Or is it a question of mentality?
See, in this particular game, I don't think it's a problem of mentality because United just coming off 2 big wins in the Premier League. And they're coming off 2 big wins. Am I right? They came a win.
Look at the manner of those wins too. They were all
Dude, United are the king of comebacks, man. It's their bread and butter. But I think this is a case of probably overthinking. Like the minute when you wrote in the chat, United are playing a 5-3-2 laughing emoji, I was just scratching my head like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Okay, I understand. See, I think them playing a 5-3-2 showed they were going for a draw.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if by saying that, I am putting their mentality into question. So, okay, let's add mentality as a factor now because the fact that playing that 5-3-2 means they were probably going for they were expecting a draw from that game.
It was a mentality question. because they played
which is not
5-3-2,
what.
and you could
Yeah.
see those attackers didn't want to even score. They just kept on passing the ball behind. I think Maguire had the most touches of the ball
I
because
want
he
to
kept
think
on
that
getting.
in that game also, there were enough times when United could have changed the course. If Greenwood makes a better decision taking that shot, it's 1-1. It's a different game from there. If, say, Rashford doesn't hit it straight into the keeper, if Bruno
Yeah.
scores again,
If Bruno just put the ball a bit down, it didn't hit the crossbar. If that Leipzig
Crossbar.
defender scored an own goal in the 90th minute, there's so many
I mean,
chances,
Hey,
but
you guys almost got the result you wanted. You almost got it.
and
Just
the thing with
eluded
me
you.
is I did predict a United draw because I mean I did say Leipzig will crumble because I've seen Leipzig play over the years. I mean that's 2 years, but the thing with Leipzig is the way they play. Their centre backs are overhyped first of all, mainly because they don't have enough cover in front of those centre backs. So those centre backs are damn exposed, and they just prone to crumbling under pressure. And you almost saw that shit happen. And because the other thing is United have enough forwards to make a difference without much given to them. So if you say watch City play or say watch Barcelona play, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind every goal. This passing create that space, underlap, overlap. United don't need any of that shit. United have forwards who can score goals because of the pace that they have and because of how shit Leipzig centre backs were. So I felt that United will scrape through, but I predicted a 2-2 draw. When the third goal went in, that's when I think shit became a whole lot more complicated. At
the,
2-2, I still believe United go through.
the third goal shouldn't even have gone in. There was some poor communication from both Maguire and De Gea.
A lot of people said De Gea was not brave enough. What do you think of that goal, though?
Yeah.
I thought it was Maguire's fault. See, you are the defender. You are supposed to cover for the goalie. There's two people behind you. You're supposed to be knowing who is around you. So you're supposed to be clearing that ball. Get the ball, put it up the pitch. It was poor from him. I think I would have defended that. Put your body on the line.
No cap, no cap. But we believe you. You could have defended. The other team which scraped through, I mean, not really scraped through, they topped the group was PSG. 3 game weeks in, I was saying two should out. 6 game weeks in, I'm still saying that. But last night I watched them absolutely violate Istanbul Berkshire Hathaway after that whole racism incident, which I don't know if you want to get into, but we should probably. But just a word on PSG. We'll start with Tejas. How far do you
Neymar.
think they can go this year?
Neymar. I mean, they played Istanbul, so don't give them too much credit.
Are you actually saying it is an easy job to beat Istanbul? Are we saying that, Tejas?
Ishan, we all know why they won that game against United. Let's just leave it at that. And they're last in their group for a reason. Only that one game they got 3 points. They've lost everything else. That is speaking something. No, but yeah, I mean, it's good to see Neymar turn up finally and score because he seems to not do that a lot in the
Right.
Champions League. And now he has scored five goals in 2 games now in the Champions League. Hat-trick
Neymar?
yesterday. Yeah, hat-trick
Yeah,
yesterday
yeah.
and 2 against United.
But
But what was the score? 5-2 against Istanbul?
5-1, 5-1.
5-1.
5-1.
He scored a
Who
beautiful
scored the
hat-trick.
Yeah, I know that. I saw only his 3 goals. I didn't see the other 2.
Other two, one was an Mbappe goal, and that was a fucking dude. That was some
I
that
think
that goal was
I
the
think-
definition of what happened.
the biggest talking point for PSG is Mbappe has not exactly been all that great for them. I don't know how he has been in the league, but this Champions League he hasn't done anything of great significance for the team at all.
So it's a very difficult one to call because he hadn't scored in his 10 previous Champions League outings up till last night. But yesterday he became the youngest player to score 20 goals in the Champions League. So how do you exactly put that shit down to? I mean, what do you put it down to?
See,
Is it
those career milestones don't mean much, but I think the more alarming fact was he didn't score in his last 10 Champions League outings. 10. That is a long time.
But
10
to be fair
Champions
to
League
him,
games.
PSG were playing very shit for majority.
PSG, dude, you have always said PSG, they don't play with tactics. They play like a school team. They just pass it to their best player, and the best players do 80% of the work.
That is how they play. That is true.
And,
And
against Istanbul, I think they could definitely afford to do that because Neymar just
I think they
walked over
played
that
5 at the
team.
back as well against Istanbul.
I don't know.
5 at the back.
And honestly,
Yeah,
PSG,
they did.
their chances are depending on the opponents they get. I mean, they finished first, so they do have slightly better opponents to face.
Do you
we
guys
should
want
say-
me to tell you an interesting fact?
Yeah, go ahead.
RB Leipzig have scored 11 goals in this year's Champions League group stage campaign. RB Leipzig have conceded 12 goals in this year's group stage. RB Leipzig were almost going through top of the group.
KD ratio 0.9 then.
-1 GD, and I feel like this one was a very good group, and we wish Dave all the best when they go away to face Rangers and Scotland in the Europa League. We'll be there to watch the games.
I mean,
inshallah.
there's United have a lot on the line. I think the United derby, the Manchester derby is this week, if I am
Yeah,
correct.
Saturday.
So if United lose that, I think our prediction we have made for 4 episodes will finally come true, which is
Nah,
only
but,
getting sacked.
honest talk, talking as a City fan, heading into the derby, if United would have won the game against Leipzig, I would have been more confident than if they would have won. No, honest talk, because
Yeah, I know,
Honest
I
talk,
know.
I've lost complete confidence in this team. I can't be asked of watching these games week in, week out, giving me heart attacks.
But dude, for all the bullshit you're saying right now, the honest truth is that you're still in the title race. I mean, I'm not talking how if you would be in 2 months' time. I'm saying at this moment in time, you're in the title race with the game in hand. That too.
That is there, but we always somehow bottle it.
I
I'm
mean,
just
I just typed Premier League standings and I still can't see Man United in the first 5. Oh, you're sixth.
yeah, we are.
Southampton. And we are seventh.
I think we're what 4 points off first place or 5 points.
So you're at 19. Tottenham are 24, but you have a game in hand.
Yeah,
So
5 points.
if you win that game in hand, you would be 2 points adrift.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did that.
Let's see what
does go in
Derby
your
Day
favor.
brings us.
All right, boys. Just before we leave, Tej, Derby Day prediction.
Oh, fuck's sake, man.
We'll hold you to it. We'll hold you to it.
Maybe 2-all, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
2-all. Now,
It's a 2-all, maybe.
that's an
I
odd one.
mean, United are coming off a defeat, so they probably could pull off a scrappy win.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter what, hopefully an interesting match. Please, be another dead match. I'm begging. Something
All right.
interesting could happen in that match.
Dave, what about you?
3-1 Man City.
Oh,
Oh,
he's gone.
I think Ishan was going to say 3-1 Man United.
No, he's done a madness. So I'm going to say 3-2 Man City, but United score first.
Let's see.
So I think that brings us to the end of this European edition. We don't know if there'll be another one, but this might be the last one.
When is the draw? The Champions League draw? For the next
December the
round?
14th.
Oh, bro.
That is on Dave's birthday, but unfortunately, Dave's team can't be drawn. It's gonna be good. If you want, we could do a draw reaction also. I think that's a fun idea for a video. It could be
Yeah,
a
actually,
short-
yeah.
We could do predictions.
Yeah, let's do
Predictions.
that. But in order to, videos to cover the games, this might be a last one, might not be. But it's been fun up till now, and we'll see you guys on Derby Day. Bye.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Getting